Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Figurehead Reviews live stream. For the first time ever, I am going to go ahead and try this live streaming thing out while showing you guys a little bit of behind the scenes of what I do when I'm editing a video. Uh, Basically, Michigan just announced today their lockdown, so I figured what better time to learn some of this live streaming stuff and maybe be able to interact with you guys a little bit more often. Now, I can see right now I got my little counter. Oh, there it is. Oh, hey, we got one viewer. So welcome to the live stream. This will be posted, of course, to the YouTube channel, so you can watch it later. But I figure we'll just jump in and do some editing, and I'll try to keep an eye out for comments. I got my second monitor set up over here, so if you do happen to jump in, I'll certainly try to reply as quickly as possible. But I do have my Vegas. Oh, well, maybe we're not going to be doing this. I do have the baby monitor here, and the baby, of course, I'm keeping an eye on him. And he just let out a little yell, but looks like he's okay. But jumping over here, so I do use Vegas 15. It's a little bit older version of Vegas, but it works for me, so I don't have any issues with it. But essentially, I already have all my stuff loaded up here as far as my main videos. So I'll drag those down to the timeline. Now you might be wondering too, I have the little section here and this section here already preloaded. I have a video template that I use. So I always have that preloaded, and then I just add in my video source and do the edits from there. Now, the first thing we're going to do is I'm always going to be adjusting my white balance. And after playing around with some numbers, I pretty much know that my lighting setup gets me, to a 118. Nope, that's not it. 0.118. There we go. For my white balance. So we're going to go through each one of these clips, and we're going to adjust the white balance, so that way we have the most accurate colors to what I record with here. And let's see. All right, and first thing I'm going to do is start trimming down some of this. And you can hear some of my bloopers here, and let me know if the audio sounds okay. You're going to hear me talking twice, because you're obviously going to hear my editing software, but let's get this first clip cut down.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to
And
Hello
take two.
everyone, and welcome back to another
Alright, so I'm going to get in right to when I start talking here, and basically, I do a full second for the intro before I start talking, so we're going to take this down to 8 seconds, frame 11, and then we cut off that front part. And
Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Figurehead Reviews video, and today we are taking a look at Loki from the Marvel Legends Professor Hulk Build-A-Figure wave. Here we have Loki displayed in the front window with his
Alright, so right there, I'm listening for my audio cues. So when I talk about the fact that we got Loki in the front, that's when I bring down some of the pictures that I have taken.
displayed in the front
And find...
Loki displayed in
Bring it back a bit more.
Here we have
That's about right. So I bring that back to the cursor. And by default, these clips are about 3 seconds long. I like to make them about 4 seconds, just for the sake of the view. And then you can see up here in the preview window, things look a bit wonky. So first, we're going to do the white balance on this picture. And then we're going to do the pan and crop, set it for 16:9. And now I want it to do the zoom that I usually have it do here. So we're going to bring that full screen zoom, bring it down to the bottom, and then I'm going to set my keyframe. If you're not familiar with some of these terms, feel free to get in the chat there and let me know, but we're going to set the keyframe and have it zoom up, and then go back and see how the timing is.
Here we have Loki displayed in the front window with his Build-A-Figure piece and sword. On the side we do have
So I was talking a little fast, I cut to the artwork on the side. So let's see if I bring that back.
Build-A-Figure wave. Here we have Loki displayed in the front window with his Build-A-Figure piece and sword. On the side,
Yeah, I cut pretty quick to the on the side piece, so maybe I won't be able to do a full 4 seconds here on this one.
Hulk Build-A-Figure wave. Here we have
Yeah, let's trim this down by about a half a second. And let's see.
Build-A-Figure piece and sword. On the side,
So that timing's pretty decent.
Build-A-Figure wave. Here we
Ugh. Yeah, I cut it pretty quick. Sometimes I talk a little too fast.
figure wave.
You know what? I just realized too, I got my little space heater on. That's probably giving you guys a lot of background noise. That should help. The furnace might kick on, and that will definitely give some background noise, but that little space heater doesn't need to be running.
Wave. Here we have Loki displayed in the front window with his Build-A-Figure piece and sword. On the side,
Alright, we'll just bring it down to where I'm talking. That'll work. We're not aiming for perfection here.
here we have Loki.
Alright, so bring in the side piece. White balance on that. And set that up for widescreen as well. Now, I usually talk pretty quick through the side part too.
The side, we do have some artwork of Loki, and it's going to be the same on both sides. On the back, we
Oh man, I was talking way too fast through this presentation. So we'll do the thing I got to watch out for when I talk really fast. If I zoom in too tight, like that, it'll take too long for it to scroll down. So I need to probably just make it a little bit of a bigger shot, and then that way my scroll will be a little bit slower, but it'll work within the time I allotted there.
the side, we do have some artwork of Loki, and it's going to be the same on both sides. On the back, we see that.
And on the back, that should be good. So on the back, now this is where I usually give myself the most time because I have the read up that I do. So, but we're going to do the white balance again. And pan and crop again. 16:9. And then we'll start it right about here. And then I'm going to listen to my read
We
up.
see that artwork once again, along with the read up. A devilish trickster. Loki uses whatever means necessary to give himself power and has little regard for what side of so-called justice he stands on.
That was a long one, but we're going to draw that out, and then we're going to add the keyframe where we're basically just going to zoom in on. Oh, there we go. We're going to zoom in on the read up basically. We'll see how the pacing is there real quick.
On the back, we see that artwork once again, along with the read up. A devilish
Yeah, I think that works.
justice he.
And then the next thing I usually say is that on the back you can find the UPC code. And I usually don't worry about the white balance on this one. I'll do it anyway, but it's not really that important to have the white balance of just the UPC code on there. So, and we're going to bring that in. I don't usually move this. I keep it just a tight shot. There we go.
On. And at the bottom, we do have the UPC code, so you can check with your local retailer to see if they have this in stock. But enough about that. Let's get this open and take a look at Loki.
And there we go. We have my intro. So now I've learned to leave a lot of lead out time when I record. If you watch some of my earlier videos, at the end of each segment, I used to have some camera wobble. You would actually see the figure wobble because that was me hitting the record button to stop recording. And I learned that I needed to give myself more lead out time. And it got to the point where I would finish what I was saying and I would start to reach for the button and I literally would have to stop so that way I didn't hit that and cause that wobble. You'll actually, so if you watch here, so watch the preview window here. Yeah, you can see the wobble as I was even reaching. So that used to be in frame, but I leave myself so much lead out time now that what I'm going to do here is basically cut it down to a half a second is my lead out time. So I'm on 40 seconds frame 1, which means I want to be 40 seconds frame 16, and then I just trim the event down, and now that way I have my instant cutout. So now this segment here, this longer segment, is my rotation. And what I've been doing lately is it takes so long for a full rotation on here. It takes about 30 seconds for a full rotation. And I'm trying to cut this segment down to about a minute, maybe a minute and a half, so I would only get 2 rotations. So what I've done is, you can see here, if you look at my audio track, uh, I don't talk for a long, I have almost like a full minute lead out. So we will go in and remove the group there. What that allows me to do is to edit the audio and the video independently of each other. So we have, like, here, I'll let you listen to a blooper. Yeah, apparently just me going, So we are going to cut this also to a half second. So same thing, so I'm on 53 seconds frame 29. So need to bring that down to what, 14? Yeah, 14. So frame 14. So now my audio is cut. I want to cut probably right about there is fine for the intro of the video. That gets any jitters that I had at the front cut. So there's that. And it looks like I usually, if I make a mistake, I don't talk for a moment, so that you can see. So kind of like over here, you can see where I have an audio clip, then silence, then I start talking again. That usually means I messed up the beginning of the take. So with this, I can see that I have audio all the way through, so that should be a good take. So we're going to cut the back end audio here. Let's see, we'll just listen.
Loki.
All right, so that's me.
Loki.
All right. Right about
Loki.
I should say Loki. So we're at 212 frame 16, so we're going to go 213 frame 1. And, oh, shoot. I only wanted to cut the audio. There we go. And you guys can probably hear that. That is the furnace. Sorry if that is causing some audio issues there. I try to record my full videos when the furnace is off. So, but let's see here. So now what I'm going to do is we're going to cut back here. So I usually just find a good stopping point. In this case, he's facing forward, and that'll allow me to cut out the camera jitters again that you'll see right there if I let it run. Yep, you can see the camera jitters. So we cut out the jitters. And now what I'm going to do in order to get the video and the audio is I compress this down, and now I should be able to regroup these two back together. So now that they're grouped back together, I can move them together. And now I should have a quick rotation in addition to my audio being synced up.
And here is Loki outside of his packaging, and I'm actually really excited to get a Loki figure, especially a comic book Loki figure, because I don't have one. I know there were some complaints about him being too big.
Alright, good enough for the moment. So before I get too far into that, bring these two together, and then I just do a pretty basic transition with this white flash. So I add that in, make sure that my white flash transition looks good.
Get Loki. And here is Loki outside of his packaging.
Now,
and
I will give this a listen,
really excited to get a Loki figure,
just to make sure that I didn't goof anything up.
I don't have one. I know there were some complaints about him being too big. That a lot of people I heard were even thinking that it would look better with, like, say,
I
the
tend to ramble in
the
these
Peter
sometimes,
Spidey
don't
body
I?
mold. But I don't know. I think
Let me
this
know in the
looks
comments.
good.
Do you like
my
my ramblings, or would you rather I shut up
looking,
sometimes?
So I'm okay with that. I do wish his sword was a little bit longer, though. I was trying to do this pose with the sword down to the ground, but unfortunately, it just wouldn't make it. Now, speaking of the sword, that is going to be the only accessory.
So what I have now is I want to do a shot here that I had taken of the sword. Well, I don't really care for that one, though, do I? No, I don't like that shot. Let's do... What's this one look like? No, that's really just the blade. Oh, cancel. Let's do, yeah, we'll do that one to start. We'll adjust the white balance again, 118. All right.
Now, speaking of the sword, that is going to be the only accessory we get in addition to, of course, his Build-A-Figure piece, and it looks...
So I talk about the sword for a second, which is good. So that means I can extend this out another second. So that gives me a 4-second clip. And then we're going to set it to 16 by 9. And we'll do a pan down so that we can see the sword a little bit up close here. So you guys can see some of the detail. And set my keyframe for the bottom. There we go.
Now, speaking of the sword, that is going to be the only accessory we get in addition to, of course, his Build-A-Figure piece, and it looks good. I like these.
And we'll throw this shot in about another 4 seconds. Again, just some quick shots. And same thing with the white balance on that one. 118, there we go. Pan and crop, and 16 by 9. Oh, now see, I changed it 16 by 9 in the middle, so I have a keyframe in the middle. I need to, there we go, set it back to the top. And then, oh, we're going to first keyframe. Oh, oops. Yeah, let's bring it down, and then, boy, not a great shot there because that detail is going to be a little ugly. So maybe what I'll do, instead of going in tight on that, I'll kind of bring it out a bit. See how this looks.
It looks good. I like the sculpt work on it. The hilt looks nice. You get that gem there in the middle, and of course the blade you get with this nice silver color, so no real complaints with the accessory. I do wish we would have gotten maybe an extra pair of hands, so that way when he's holding the sword in one hand, we would make it.
That
now,
might be
of the sword,
pretty good. I like that. I think what I'm going to do, though, is let's bring this one out another second, just because I really want to be able to get a good shot of that. And bring the keyframe out too, so it zooms a little slower. And let's see.
Speaking of the sword, that is going to be the only accessory we get in addition to, of course, his Build-A-Figure piece, and it looks good. I like the sculpt work on it. The hilt looks nice. You get that gem there in the middle, and of course the blade you get with this nice silver color, so no real complaints with the accessory. I do wish we would have gotten maybe an extra pair of hands, so that way when he's holding the sword in one hand,
rambling
we
again,
have an open gesture or fist for the other hand. But oh well. Now in standing.
So now you can see here, this chunk here is my graphic that I already built to do all the pop-out stuff here. So I can hear that I was about to say when standing straight up, which is my audio cue to get my thing here moved. So,
but oh well. Now in standing.
Let's even go back a couple extra frames, get it closer to when I'm saying it.
Oh well. Now in standing straight up to the tip of his horns, this figure is coming in at about 7 1/4 inches tall, which makes him about 18.
So what I actually try to do too, and it always happens whenever I add something, like when I said to the tip of his horns, I usually try to get the centimeters to be like so fading in as I'm saying it. So let's see how that looks.
Standing straight up to the tip of his horns, this figure is coming in at about 7 1/4 inches tall, which makes him about 18.4 centimeters. So yeah, he's a little bit shorter, of course.
So actually that kind of works out okay. I like that. So what I got to do now, though, is obviously you can see it's not anywhere where I want it, and of course the default numbers are wrong. So first thing we're going to do here, I have this little effect where it pops in the screen. I need to get rid of that temporarily because I need to be able to have the first keyframe and see where it is. So we're going to bring it in. So this is actually, I made this out of rectangles and stuff. individually, and it was kind of tricky. I don't know much about the video editing software, so there's probably an easier way to do an animation, but this was how I did the animation. So, but we can see it's still too short, so we're going to bring it all the way to, I said the tip of his horns, so we'll bring it up to the tip of his horns, and then I got it down at his feet.
It's coming in at about 7¼
That works. So we got that adjusted. Now what I got to do is get the this sorry, that adjusted up there for the actual height. See how that looks, and we'll change that in a second. But I can see I have my position at 0.91 there in my second position. I almost pointed at the screen as if you guys can see what I was pointing at. Here under location, and I know the resolution makes this a little bit tougher for you guys to see. By the way, I'm editing with a ultra wide monitor, so I have it set up to do 16:9. That's why there's so much going on down here with the webcam and all my other stuff. Anyway, so we got that moved, and then while I'm at it, we're gonna have to move the other one, and position was 91. There we go. So now my centimeters and my inches,
about 18.4.
ooh, actually are a little off. So we're going to move that a little bit to the left. There we go. But I have at least the vertical up and down. The horizontal being a little over is fine.
Which makes him about 18.4.
Yeah, I think that looks okay. Oh, yeah, as a matter of fact, I have the locations exactly the same. So now I got to adjust, what centimeters did I say? 18 point what?
About 18.4 centimeters.
18.4. So 18.4. By the way, if you go back to my last video that I just posted of Better Ray Bill, I forgot to change the inches. So I said he's like 7 1/8 inches tall, but I forgot to change the 6. So yeah, that doesn't work. But let's see, how tall is he?
It's coming in at about 7¼ inches.
Well, cool. I don't have to change the quarter. I only got to change the 7. There we go. And that is now good. But what I do have to do, the last thing, is add the transition that makes that bar do that stretch in.
Here's coming in at about,
because otherwise it just jumps right in. And that is with the squeeze transition, the vertical setting, and then I change the duration down to 15 frames. And
figure is coming in at about 7¼ inches tall, which makes him about 18.4 centimeters. So yeah, he's a little bit shorter, of course, if you
there we go. So that works. So that is that effect, and we're actually going to just save our progress here, make sure we don't lose anything. And then you can already see, too, with me pulling the things forward, I mean, look at how much time that is shaved off. So we're at 2 minutes, 7 seconds, 3 minutes, 4 seconds. So I have shaved off over 1.5 minutes of time by scrunching that down and then getting that cut. Now this is the biggest section that I do in one take. This is when I do my close looks and the articulation. So just make sure I didn't have anything else here.
If I got to fit him on a shelf, I got to fit those horns in there. So I measured to the top of them. But let's go ahead now, though, and get a better look at some of that sculpt work and the paint detail here on Loki.
All right, so same thing. We're going to find where I stopped talking, and we're going to cut it at about 15 frames, because, again, I wanted to get rid of that screen wobble. So
Loki.
There we go. Boy, that one was actually pretty tight. So let's see. I'm at, that would put me at what, 8 and 4. I'm at 2 minutes 7 seconds, 9th frame. So if I want to go 15, 19, 24. So 24 frames. Ooh, uh-oh. Did I cut it that close? Oh, I must not have been paying attention. Oh, wait, I already cut it. That's why, didn't I? That's right. This is the one I already did. Derp. All right, let's go back here. So starting up with this. So again, I can see that it looks like I managed to get all that in one take. So we're going to cut this. Same thing. Find right where I start talking there. And we're going to cut it 15 frames. So we're at two 15 seconds and 10th frames, so we're going to 14 and 25. And cut. Bring it in. And add our transition. And you can see how I kind of do this is just, segment by segment is just the easiest way to bring it in. And then my project media, this is where I think I have a lot of the pictures. So we'll have to figure out
Detail here on Loki.
Where I'm going to put those pictures.
Here's Loki up close, and I think this head sculpt actually looks great.
So I want to cut actually here when I did the head sculpt talking, because I like to try to have at least one or two stills. Helps change up the scenery. So there we go. And so we're going to change that to widescreen and adjust our keyframe. Let's see, where do I want it? I don't really need it to be that zoomed in, but here we'll do we'll get artsy with it. How's that sound? We'll do a slight zoom in and then take it up to that corner. How's that?
Actually looks great. Very mischievous. Very much feels like a comic book version of Loki. I like the design, and the paint came out looking good. You actually get some subtle paint there on the lips, so you get that light pink, and then the teeth there look pretty decent. Some pretty striking green eyes there as well, and I like that.
Let's see. When I talked about the striking green eyes, I didn't really have anything, so let's see.
There look pretty decent. Some pretty striking.
Alright, so we'll talk about the striking green eyes, right? Oh, you know what? Did not do my white balance for that one. The white balance for this one. And then we're going to get in real close on those eyes since I mentioned them.
The teeth there look pretty decent. Some pretty striking green eyes.
Alright, actually, as I'm looking at this now that up close, I didn't notice this during the review, but boy, when you get up that close, he looks like he's got a lazy eye. Ugh.
Some pretty striking green eyes there as well, and I like that. His ponytail does have some shading in it just to help kind of give...
That went on a little bit long. Let's cut that one back a little bit. See how that does now.
Some pretty striking...
One.
Decent. Some pretty striking green eyes there as well, and I like that. His ponytail does have some shading in it just to help kind of give that hair some definition. And then the horns, I was really worried about whether or not these were going to break off. They are somewhat soft, so they got a little bit of flex to them. And I haven't really pulled on them or anything, but they feel like they're pretty well glued in, so that is good.
They work.
The little neck piece here does slide around. I mean, I would not have wanted it to be sculpted, I don't think. It would have looked weird, and I think it would have looked kind of chintzy painted on, so I think this is probably the best option.
It would have been chintzy.
And once you get it posed, it's not going to go anywhere.
All right, so I know I'm about to say taking a look at the body, so I have my picture here that I have of the main body sculpt. So we're going to go in, and I think I talk about the scales here, so I want to kind of get in tight so that you can see the paint work on those scales. Oops, there we go. And same thing, white balance. So everything always adjusts the white balance. I'm shooting under some studio lightings that are the same, and just for frame of reference, I have the white balance cards that you use every time you do video. Well, not every time, but when you do editing, helps you get the true white. Every time I would use that when I first did videos, every time I did the white balance, 118, 118. So every time I would do the amount of correction, the auto balance, when I would select a white color and I would select that, it would almost always go to 118. So I stopped using the card altogether because my lighting hasn't changed, and I just manually change it to 118 now, and that seems to work. But let's see, we're going to change pan and crop to 16:9, and let's see what I said about the body.
The chest really only has the paint there on the scales, and for the most part, they actually came out looking pretty good, I imagine.
Yeah, I like that. I increased it by a second. Let's do... So, don't need it all the way like that. Let's actually, we'll do the chest and then we'll do a slow zoom in on the scales. See how that comes out. Ooh, that was a big zoom in, but yeah. You know what? Here, we're gonna try. Can I get fancy with it again? Start at the top, have it sort of pan down and zoom in.
The chest really only has the paint there on the scales, and for
that doesn't make sense that I said the chest and then I zoomed down to his mid-torso, so we'll just do a zoom in just on chest there. And nope, I added an extra keyframe. I have to go back and fix the keyframe that I did. There we go. Now we'll bring it into the chest. Let's see how close we can get there on that.
The chest really only has the paint there on the scales, and for the most part, they actually came out looking pretty good. I imagine they probably used...
let's just add maybe a half a second to that. Move the keyframe back. It zoomed kind of quickly.
The chest really only has the paint there on the scales, and for the most part, they actually came out looking pretty good. I imagine they probably used a similar template to doing Captain America's scales there, so not a whole lot of issues with that. Same thing with his underwear here. Came out with scales looking pretty good. Not a whole lot of paint going on otherwise. We do have the forearms molded in the gold, so there is a little bit of gold seeping through some of the green paint.
A little bit.
There at the top of the forearms, but not too bad, not very noticeable. And then going down the legs, not a whole lot going on there. And then this is going to be plastic, not paint. So not a whole lot of paint work necessary.
Nope.
And I still like the fact that they went with a little bit of a bulkier figure for Loki as opposed to, like, say, the Pizza Spidey mold. I'm okay with Loki looking like he could hold his own against Thor.
I really try to work on this rambling, guys. I really do.
But I like that. Now, looking at the articulation, you have a head, of course, that can go side to side. You do have full rotation, a bar, kicks forward, actually really high, backwards, knee, boot cut, hinge, and ankle pivot.
So I don't really need to watch myself do that. So, alright, so we're going to cut that. So add 15 seconds, that's what, 27. So we're going to go to 27th frame and cut. And then... almost done here. We're going to bring in, so let's see what the blooper reel has for us. If I burp or something, I apologize. Some of these blooper reels are me just making various noises and such, so let's see.
And that is going to do it for this review, everyone. Just kind of a quick wrap up, really.
Blip, blip, blip. I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm saying. So we're going to trim that at the 15 frame mark, so that's what, 18, right? Yeah. I'm learning how to do math and 15 minus everything. Is that right? Yeah, that was right. All right, and bring it in. There we go. Add our transition. Make sure the transition looks good.
Pivot. And that is going to do it for this review, everyone. And I want to give a real brief wrap-up here and basically just say I actually really like this figure.
So one of the things I can do here, too, since I don't have a ton of pictures, I'm going to add one picture in here that I haven't used yet. And I try to take a couple of pictures so I have some things to go off of and add in there. So we'll do one picture here of him with his sword. And we'll leave that at the default 4 seconds. That's fine. But we'll do a... let's see, we'll do like a pan up and over. A slight zoom to it.
I like this figure. I'm okay with the body mold, the size that they used for him.
That.
I think it looks good. And I think it's nice to actually get a comic book Loki for...
And then something else I can do is with the actual, so that's a video. You know, I know it's basically a still, but that's a video. So what I can do is I'll split this scene down here so you can see I've actually cut that segment into 2 segments now. And then, so what am I at? I'm at 15.5.
For some of the Asgardian figures that we've been getting lately.
So let's go to 25. We're going to split it again. So I have a 5-second clip here in the middle. And we're going to actually just do a pan of that particular shot. And just to change up some of the imagery, try to keep your attention a little bit more. I'm trying to work on other ways to do this. I'm pretty novice at editing, guys, and content creation, so give me a little bit of a break.
Loki for some of the Asgardian
There we go.
figures that we've been getting lately, or at least over the last few years. So I am happy with this purchase. If you like this review, please hit that thumbs up. If you like this content, make sure to subscribe for more just like it. And as always, thanks for stopping by and watching my video.
Oh.
Have a great day.
I was trying to do something cool there, and that failed. So usually at the end, I just cut it pretty hard right when I stop talking. There's no need to have a lead out.
Stopping by and watching my video, and have a great day.
Because I mean, that's it. That's the end of the video. It's the easiest way to do it. So that's it. We can see my timeline when it's done here. There's pretty standard stuff. Doesn't really look bad. We get some image stuff. We have my height and everything looks good.
This figure is coming in at about 7.
Yep. So usually from here, I just do kind of a quick once over. I double check and make sure all my different audio settings and things like that are looking good, which actually, I know you can't see this window where my mouse is with the way OBS is recording, but I actually had my audio set up in a different way that I wanted it to. See if my voice sounds different.
People I heard were even thinking...
Yeah, mildly. So the one thing you might have noticed too, the last thing is I do have up here this little segment. So that is actually this here, the... my little call to action, all my little call signs and everything, and I have that animated. You've probably noticed that it'll shrink down.
Loki from the Marvel Legends Professor Hulk Build-A-Figure Wave.
When did I have it shrink?
Here we have Loki displayed in the front.
So it shrinks down, becomes transparent. What I do is I keep it short, so that way when I'm trimming and editing all these clips, I don't accidentally cut it. But now that I'm done, I basically just stretch it out to the end of the scene, and now that way it'll have the transparent, smaller version of that all the way throughout. And that's it. Yeah, we are done. So from here, I know again you can't see these windows with the way OBS works, but we're pulling up here my render settings, and basically just going to get this rendered out. And click. And there we go. So that is it, guys. This is now doing its render. Looks like the render video is up there, so you can see we're actually cruising along here. This will be rendered probably in about, well, let's see, how long is it? It's about 5 minutes. So this will probably be rendered out in about 12 minutes, give or take, is what it's been running. And it is doing 4K. I've been shooting in 4K ever since I started. I think I did one test one where I did 1080p at 60 frames. If you go back to one of my first 2 videos, I think. Yeah, that's the editing process. I'm going to get this one uploaded. It does take quite a while to upload. I do have to upgrade my internet connection. I haven't really done that yet, so we're still kind of running, I think 5 megs up. When I did a speed test, I get like 6 megs up, so that's something. But well, this is actually rendering a little bit quicker. That is actually only at about 6 minutes. I hope I didn't have render loop region. Hold on, let me double check something. I might have actually had the render. Oh, okay. Let's make sure I didn't have the render loop region, which basically means it would have only rendered the blue section there. And I thought maybe that's why it was running so quick, but nope, it's just running that quick. So pretty cool. But anyway, that is it. I just want to do a little behind the scenes live stream for you guys. I think we're going to wrap things up here. If you kind of like this idea of doing some of the behind the scenes stuff, I'll certainly do it more often. It was actually a lot of fun. This is a little bit of an experiment for me with the live stream, and it was different. So as I get more and more subs, I'll have more and more viewers. I do have OBS up on my second screen, so I can see if you guys chat, and I try to respond. I have actually a bunch of different settings going on here. I feel like this is a little bit too busy. It was just, I had to do something with the extra room because I'm filming with that ultra wide. I had to kind of do something, so I did the generic background, subs, stuff like that. Hey, cool. Yes, it is. It is very cool. Thank you. And see, I have it so I can see your things, and so we can see it when we play back. I can see your comments. Although when I switch there, yeah, it goes away. So it clears out the chat every time I switch a scene. But whatever. I don't plan on switching scenes very often. So, but anyway, that is it, everyone. I do appreciate you stopping in, watching me do this live edit. Like I said, if you like more of this, or if you want to see more behind the scenes, leave a comment in the posted video of this, for those of you that don't watch this live and watch it after the fact. And I'll try to do it more often when I can. My son has been sleeping through the night more often, which makes me more confident to have this amount of time to do it. But anyway, this is Figurehead Reviews signing off for the night. Thanks for stopping by, and have a great